Hey, what's up, everybody? I figured I'd do another Evertune video. Got a lot of views on the last Evertune video I did, so let's do some more. So this video is, was it worth it? Because the Evertune is it's more expensive than a regular bridge. If you're retrofitting a guitar, you've got to ask yourself the question, okay, am I ready to commit to this? So here's what I did. About a year and a half ago, I just bought an EC1000 that came equipped. Ordered it from Guitar Center. I got a buddy that's a manager. They didn't have one in there. He's like, look, order it, come into the store, play it. If you don't like it, we'll just, we'll put it on the shelf and say, that you didn't want it. So that sounded like a great deal to me. Kind of the best try before you buy, because I literally, I had the opportunity to go in there and play it for, I could have played it for hours on different amps in there. I probably could have taken my own amp in there. I think I just tried a cheap Line 6 because, if you can get a good clean sound on a Line 6, it's a quality, generally speaking, it's a good guitar. So the first thing I noticed when the guy brought it out of the box when it got there and they called me up, gorgeous guitar. I noticed that the rake, the angle between the body and the neck, how the old EC1000s are like this, the new ones, they flatten that. And I found out from Herbert, he's on the Facebook page for the Evertune user group. They did that to accommodate putting an F-style bridge in there instead of the G-style. And I think that was probably a good move, because I think the G-style right out the gate might have just kind of thrown me for a loop or something. Anyway, so first thing I noticed out of the bag, besides that, is it was dead on in tune, like dead on in tune. They brought it out of the cold storeroom in the back. It was colder temperatures. I think it was maybe late fall or something when I got it. Anyway, it was cold, cold to the touch. It was condensating on it when we brought it out, because we live in the Midwest and it's always humid, so it doesn't matter. And just dead on in tune, dead on, perfect intonation. Because I didn't order the guitar specially tuned or any special setup, it was in a standard tuning E. It came out with 9s in it. I play in drop tuning. It's basically a half step. It's drop C sharp is what it is. It's a half tune down, or a half step down, and then you do the drop D thing. So not much different. And then I use 10s. So I brought them home because I agreed to it pretty much within 2 or 3 minutes. Once I started playing some of the sustained chords on clean way up the neck, and they were sounding just dead on, that was it. I knew. And then I kind of abused it because I hadn't bought it yet, so I tried to see it, how hard it was going to be to knock this thing out of tune. And it occurred to me very quickly that this, if nothing else, this is going to be a perfect studio tracking guitar. So brought it home. One of my biggest issues prior to the Evertune is the fact that I do have perfect pitch, and I primarily play either a Les Paul or a EC1000 VB1, the vintage black. I've got that modified I just took the active pickups and I threw in some custom pickups, passive, because I don't do actives. The tuning, it's that rake on those, the G string, you just can't keep it in tune, which limits your ability, it limits the availability of quality chords that you can throw in places. Kind of relegates you to at best power chords, and I wanted to use a lot of open chords with distortion and stuff, and that was just not going to be possible with it. I had been hearing about this, so I went ahead and pulled the trigger. I bought it, you know, and so was it worth it? Absolutely. All I did to change the tuning was I went from the 9s that came factory on it, I went to 10s, and I don't have my box sitting around, but oh, here it is right here. I went to these right here, and we'll get into Diodario's in another video. I went to those, and it basically dropped my tuning for me. I just had minor adjustments to do, and then minor intonation adjustments to put it into my tuning. And then the drop, that was a little bit more adjustment because I was going from E to C sharp, but it still wasn't over the top. It wasn't anything like, at no point during the adjustment into that was I questioning what I was doing, or did I have any second guesses. So that was easy. So in that time, I have, I went to the first band practice I had. I had told the guys that I was getting it because this was a major issue for me because of the fact I have perfect pitch. It would throw me off during performances, and that was the main thing, because I would be constantly chasing that perfect intonation and that perfect tuning while trying to play the song on stage, and it was consuming too much of me on stage. So got this, had it set up, didn't tune for an entire practice, so my band was immediately blown away, and they immediately loved it because they're like, wow, we got so much more done because you weren't sitting over there doing this all day. Live performance, absolutely. The amount of confidence you have in your live performance skyrockets because you don't have to sit there and question anymore. You can have that more confidence that you know you're in. As long as you hit the right fret, you're in tune. If it's not in tune, it's probably because your fingers are in the wrong place. Let's say, hey, it happens. You know, you try to bull stuff your way through it, and hope the audience never can tell. Another thing that was my issue is I'm left-handed, but I play right-handed. So my left hand probably presses a little harder, and I've got meat hands anyway. I don't have dainty fingers, so I was bending the string, I was fretting the strings out of tune, eliminated that. And also I don't have the finesse that I probably should have with my right hand because I'm left-handed. And so I was hitting the strings to where they were so hard in some areas where they would raise out of pitch and would fall back down. And especially when you get into the studio and you see it, and you're like, oh my God, how can I fix this? Well, I can play the heaviest of the heavy parts I have ever written on an Evertune, and it doesn't budge. It's awesome. So, which brings me to, I guess, the last thing I'm going to bring up in this video, and let me know in the comments if I said I was going to say something and missed it. It's Christmas morning, and well, medical's legal in Missouri, so, you know. Would I retrofit another guitar with it? I have. I took my Gibson Les Paul after having the F style on the EC1000. I think I'd had it for about 7 months by the time I ordered the bridge for the Les Paul. I ordered the G model for the Les Paul, and I installed it myself. That being said, I'm a carpenter for a living. I'm a woodworker for a living. That's why I installed mine myself. If you're not, I'm not a licensed Evertune installer. I install them, but there are plenty of good and quality installers that don't charge that much. I do recommend Ryan Adams from the group. I've seen pictures of his work. I've seen the stuff that he's had to overcome just through the pictures, and I do know that he is actually a licensed installer for Evertune, so should anything go wrong, you're covered all the way. But do I regret installing an Evertune in my Gibson Les Paul? Not for a second. Not for a second. There is nothing about the install, the playability. The install was a pain in the butt, I'm not gonna lie. There is nothing about the playability, the tone, anything about this guitar now that I would change, separate, part with. I can finally play a Les Paul live on stage, and you saw in my other videos, we can do the bends, we can do the dives and all that cool stuff. And it's in tune. It always returns right back to where it's supposed to be. Going to play shows with this thing has been amazing. And that's the one compliment I get, like the you know, because of the pandemic, we haven't been as busy as we would like to be. We've played a few, but that's the recurring comment I get, because we're kind of known around here, and it was known that I had tuning issues. I mean, everybody knew it, and everyone's like, even the fans, or all the fans are like, dude, what the hell is that thing? I've convinced a couple other local musicians to install them on theirs, or have them installed, or to buy one. There's another local guy here. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know he even had a studio. He's got the exact same guitar that I first bought. So is it worth it? Absolutely. Am I ordering another one for another guitar that I'm building? Yeah, it's getting another one. Am I ordering another one after that for a vintage Washburn? Yeah. And every one of them, I'm going to take a router to the face of the guitar, and I'm going to clench every time I do it, even though I've installed several now. And it's going to be worth it. So some of you guys are on the fence, I understand. Some of you guys have really nice guitars that you don't want to, modify, or that you don't want to scar up. Fine. We've all got a $200-300 guitar hanging on the wall that we don't play anymore. It's, you know, $250-300 depending on your install. Send it in, get it in before you do your expensive guitar that you can't revert back. Do one of your cheap ones and play it. Go ahead and seriously, drop the money. Stop this battle that doesn't even need to take place anymore. We've won the battle. They invented something, it works. There's no reason not to have one if tuning's been your issue. The only thing, do I have a complaint? It's true you do lose a little bit of sustain compared to a stop tailpiece. I haven't really timed it or sat there and, got in the studio and looked at the waveforms to see how long they last, in comparison. A lot of you guys have these Sustainiac pickups or active pickups, or are just using real high gain situations. You're not going to notice a single thing. You're not going to notice a bit of sustain issues, other than the fact that now sustaining that note, it'll actually be in tune. You won't have that weirdo vibration thing when you're trying to sustain something. If you're playing cleaner tones, it's almost like if somebody took a very thin string, stuck it behind your nut, and that's your tone. I mean, it doesn't deaden it very much, really. I mean, I still record clean tones on it. I just put a little bit more treble in my mixes when I do it, and that seems to be just fine. Still has the attack. Like I said, if you're in a high gain situation, I play for rock band Dirty Molly, and we don't use high gain. I mean, I use distortion, but it's, I think my gain knobs typically hang around 11 o'clock, you know, between 11 and 11:30 on the deal. So I guess it would be that way if you look, who knows. Anyway, that's it. Any questions, comments, concerns? I am going to be doing another video on the some other techniques and stuff. The drop D, I'll do that in another video because that really needs to be a separate thing.